Right then, hello there, Matt Garvey.
Hello, sir. How you doing? That's a very dramatic intro.
You like that?
I wouldn't say no, I did. It was good.
Just a little thing we kind of knocked up.
Yeah,
I thought
very
can't have
cool,
any
very
old
cool.
thing for Matt Garvey. We want a bit of hell red and flames and eternal torture.
I know. I was like, oh my god, I'm going to purgatory.
I was thinking, I waved to Matt Garvey. I think, is he all right? And I thought, I've not added him to the stage on StreamYard. I'm still getting the hang of StreamYard. I thought, there he is.
I don't think I've ever used it before.
Haven't you? It's so simple, even I can use it.
You're doing great, mate. You're doing great.
Thank you very much. So, hello to Matt Garvey. What can we say? We're going to say something, otherwise it's going to be a very short show. So, how about, I have to say, I am still a little bit nervous about all this. Obviously, meeting well, I'll tell you what I think of you in the presentation.
I'll tell you what I think of you.
It's all good, Governor. You know, it's all good. So let's add the presentation to the stage. We've shown the trailer. This is like train tracks for beginners. You know what I mean? These are like the presentation is like an L plate, but it also means I can give more shoulder to our special guest, you know? So then we are live. I remember to press the button this week. That 2 weeks ago we forgot. I thought we've spent 10 minutes with this guy Fusebox. I said, sorry, Fusebox, we're going to have to. It's outrageous, you know. And to scramble the jets. Can we just repeat all that we've just done? I'll just now press the button. Then we went live. Then we had to do the first 5 bits of the presentation. And he was so professional. You wouldn't have known, but he was far more professional than I.
Honestly, do you know, technology is great because it changes so fast. You can't keep up with everything. So the important thing is you realize at the right time, mate.
That's the main thing. And yes, so anyway, our theme tune now is by that certain girl band. It's a little song called Push the Button. You might know of it. Deny all knowledge of that song. Like the pillars of storytelling: art, comics, movies, games, and toys. It's all about the storytelling where we try to thread that needle. What do art, comics, movies, games, and toys have in common? They flow. Art leads into comics. Comics leads into movies. Movies then get games and merch and stuff like that. And then you get toys, which is the ultimate movie. And then fear leads to anger. Anger leads to hate. And hate leads to suffering. Just stick with the 5 pillars for now. The other stuff will come along later. It's all the Star Wars fans will get the joke. It's Sunday, 16th of March. And I Took a Hammer to Hell is at 3 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time. It's UK time for all those Americans. They're still grappling with space and time. We know we are. And there's a picture of me and Matt Garvey. Oh, dearie me. It's just by the gods themselves. What do we say? Right then. Me, host, Azrael, introduction, who, what, why, and how of the 5 pillars of storytelling in the comics in general. So I say, hello there. Welcome to 5 pillars of storytelling live, where we talk art, comics, movies, games, and toys. Boilerplate stuff, folks, from the past, present, and future. If you're watching from the future, you're in the present. Enjoy it. And hello there to you. I'm your host, Azrael. My secret identity is Kyle Prometheus. And our style is universal, so we can be watched by creative families, creative adults, and the creative younglings. And we've got such a beautiful specimen of indie comics creativeness in our guest tonight. This afternoon, actually, Matt Garvey. We have an inspiring quote for you. Comics are an international language. They can cross boundaries and generations. Comics are a bridge between all cultures. Is that Osamu Tezuka? Sounds like a legend to us. And now there's another quote for you, which is very relevant to indie comics and the guest we have on tonight, this afternoon. Now we are living in the age of comics as air. Oh, Tezuka. We can feel the legendariness. So let's quickly get on to the next one. We've got a guest introduction. We've got Matt. We affectionately call him the Governor Garvey. We always do a bit of prose for our guests. And we like to kind of start championing and celebrating from this point of the show. Put them at ease, make them feel good about being the show. They're thinking, oh my gosh, I've accepted this invitation. We don't know this guy. He he might be hunted by the police or something, you know. So we want to put our guests at ease. And plus, we have to do the dossier background check as well. We send out envoys to find out as much as we can about them. Since we sent out guests to Brother Dio, who actually did a werewolf comic, those envoys didn't make it back. Well, one did and said he's going to quit because he doesn't want to be doing background checks on werewolves. But they will move swiftly on. So yes, Matt Garvey at Matt Garvey 1981. He's a writer, a family man, Brit grit indie royalty. Yes, I'll say it because he won't, but we'll say it for him. Battle hardened Jack Regan, if any Sweeney fans out there, of indie comics, powering through cool ideas with a bit of stubble, just like ourselves. Writer of I Took a Hammer to Hell, which is blowing the, we don't swear in the show, so but it's just, let's just say it's blowing the doors off Kickstarter. You know what I mean, Johnny? 15-year, count them, 15-year, and that's just the tip of the iceberg, folks. I got that line from one of his making comics videos. Veteran of indie comics, so there's a whole career there of nearly doing indie comics, if you know what I mean, where he's learned his craft. But 15 years of making indie comics. His Making Comics YouTube channel, which we buried ourselves in, showing you how to make trailers and how to write. And you can get interviewed by young adolescent tykes, which we thought was quite charming. It was very cool to look at. And so, yeah, Making Comics YouTube channel, where he very modestly, modest guy, says, if I can make comics, anyone can. So we say, hello there, Matt Garvey.
What a lovely introduction. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. It's all lies, but I know I appreciate it.
Yes. So then we have, well, you're very modest. We like that about you. You just have this very unassuming, getting head down, getting on with it kind of persona, which we like, I have to say. So, Matt, the Governor Garvey, we have got a big 5 questions.
Go for it, buddy. Go for it.
We call upon the great Nexus for a stimulating, learned interview where we can find out more about you. Well, you know, we put you on the couch a little bit, I would say. So, Matt Garvey, tell me about your father. We try to go deep with the guests and their work on this show.
Okay.
That sounds worrying, doesn't it? So the big 5 questions, ominous. Right, who is Matt Garvey? We've got a picture here of I Took a Hammer to Hell, over 1,000% funded on Kickstarter. We'd say storytelling influencers, comic journey, movies and music, anything you can think of. Off you go, Governor.
So who am I? Yeah, so I am Matt Garvey. Lovely to meet you all. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you for having me on the show. So storytelling influences. I mean, I've been reading comics for 35 years nearly. So you know, I've read a lot. Heavily influenced by the usuals. The Alan Moores, the Garth Ennises of the world, that kind of thing. Favorite comics, Hitman. If you've ever read it from DC, if you haven't, go and get it now. It's out in an omnibus with John McCrae's beautiful art. That's just the pinnacle of comics for me. I absolutely love that. I'm a massive Daredevil fan. Daredevil was the first comic I ever bought when I was a kid, and it will be the last comic I ever buy. So I've always loved old Hornhead. Music and movies. Favorite movies, Jaws. It's just the greatest film of all time. It's just, it doesn't get better than that. Other inspirations with regards to film. I like John Carpenter films, Big Trouble in Little China and stuff like that. Tim Burton, favorite Tim Burton films, Ed Wood. So yeah, I like a lot of westerns, gangster films. Basically, and if it's a good film, I'll watch it. It doesn't really matter to what genre it is. With regards to music, I like to think I'm quite eclectic. I'll listen to everything from rap, rock to jazz to soundtracks, instrumental. I don't like to be pigeonholed of you only have to listen to one type of music, watch one type of film, read one type of comics. I will listen and watch, read and consume anything basically.
I'll tell you what, you sound like a Bronze Era brother who's quite a broad church like ourselves. It's funny, we were thinking, yes, that's us. And Hornhead, when everybody else was buying John Romita Jr.'s X-Men and Chris Claremont, I was on Hornhead. It was it for us. It was Gene Colan, Gil Kane. It was obviously Frank Miller's noir-tastic Daredevil, and obviously Master Charlie, Born Again. I mean, I'm right in that church. Stained glass windows.
For me, it was quite the opposite. I never really read the Frank Miller stuff till I was a lot older. So my introduction to Daredevil was Scott McDaniel's art on Daredevil, which just blew me away. And it was only like 10 years later when he started drawing Nightwing. I didn't even realize it was the same artist because his style would change so much. But I also was really into the Annie Nassetti and John Romita Jr. Daredevil run. That was the run that really got me, and it's just epic. And you've got an omnibus there, haven't you? There you go, Nightwing. It's
Look
brilliant.
at the thickness of that, folks. From the future, you'll think, how can anything be that thick in the present?
I've got them all in floppies. I don't have room for graphic novels anymore, so I've got them all digitally as well, so I can read them whenever I want. But if you've never read it, is it Chap Dixon's run with Scott McDaniel's art? It's it's just wonderful. It really kind of makes Nightwing his own character. It's epic, and like the characters that they create together and put them in the like Blockbuster Talk and that kind of thing. Yeah, no, it's I don't want to say a light-hearted version of Batman, but there is a lot of heart and a lot of darkness, and the art's just absolutely epic. So yeah, I'd recommend that to anyone.
Yes, it's funny that one. We would say Scott McDaniel for us is a nice bridgehead between the old, elegant style, classic storytelling, but he brings that Image Comics grit. So he's kind of very much like a hybrid, and we love the way he has vertigo-inducing camera angles and perspectives, and that
like fish-eyed lenses and stuff.
Fish-eyed lenses, yeah, stuff like that.
His art's great. I mean, I think it's even like the first panel on the first page. It just grabs you. I think if I remember it correctly, and shoot me if I'm wrong, it literally starts with Nightwing handcuffed to it's either a rock or a case that's in the water, and he's like underwater, and it looks basically like being a circus performer. It just looks like like a Harry Houdini kind of escape artist book. Yes. And it's very clever, and the way they get rid of the ponytail is quite clever as well.
No tassels or ponytails here, son.
Yeah, no, definitely not. My hair is freshly shaved.
At 29, I tell you, don't look too bad for 29. At 29, you give up the ghost, Mother Nature takes over, then you stop wearing hats.
Dude, I'm 43, so like I started shaving my head, and my daughter's like, "Daddy, let your hair grow." I'm like, "No, I like shaving my head." There's something very cathartic about shaving one's head that I love.
It is very cathartic. I like the way you put it there, quite poetically. It is very cathartic shaving your head. I mean, baptism of fire, we've been born again.
I let it grow last year because I did Movember for the first time in 10 years. So I shaved my beard off, so I couldn't have a skin head and no facial hair because I'd look like a giant egg. So I literally, that's why the picture you showed before that's what my hair looks like. So I let it grow out, and I was like, yeah. And then the beard came off, and I look like a 10-year-old. It's a bit weird.
Well, we have got one little anecdote to share with that. About, let's just say a couple of decades ago, when we were doing an MA in computer animation, a lady, let's just say on the south side of things, let's say it was near Poole, where we did our computer animation MA, and we were outside this nightclub. I don't know what I was doing. I certainly wasn't acting my age. And then anyway, she was a little bit taller than me. You know what I mean? It'd be nice if I was 6 foot, but I fell short by just a couple of inches there. And so in heels, she was a bit taller than me. And I said, "Listen, be honest with me. Should I grow it or keep it short?" And she said, she just looked at my head on top and said, "Shave it all off, love, and keep it like that." And it's funny enough, she had a kind of a Midlands accent, so I knew she was from the same neck of the woods. You couldn't, serendipity of the universe, isn't it? But she told me straight, "Shave it off, son. You'll be, if you haven't got it, keep it short." Basically,
if you've got a good shaped head, it doesn't matter.
Yes, and on that subject, we'll move swiftly on to our next slide. We've got, what does he, the one and only Matt Garvey, create? Elevator pitch, convention table pitch. I tell you what, just give it to us, Matt Garvey.
Pick a comic and I'll give you the elevator pitch and know them all off by heart.
Hey, what we've got here, wait a minute, we've got Genuine Comics in the chat. Hello, Genuine Comics. This guy does great superhero comics. Actually, Dave Briggs, yeah, he does great superhero comics. So hello, Genuine Comics, friend of the show. So hello. Hi, there. Genuine. Hello, Genuine. So yes, this elevator pitch. So what do you create then there, Matt Garvey?
pick one of my comics, and I will give you the Comic Con table pitch. I have them all memorized because I've got like so many
Wow.
books.
Seriously, that's what we call battle tested, folks. You know about
Yeah.
elevator pitches? Matt's your man. Okay, I took a hammer to hell. Go for it.
Okay, it's a story about a guy that sells his soul to the devil, but instead of waiting for the devil to come to collect, he tapes a massive hammer to his hand and runs into hell to kill the devil.
Wow, I'll tell you what, that's dynamite.
But that's all you need at a Comic Con. It's like 2 lines explaining what it is, just to try and grab people's attention. Like, you know, I can literally do it for them all. I've practiced them so much.
Yeah, but I'll tell you what, we just want to show this little bit of a message from our chat. Elevator pitches are so difficult unless you're Matt Garvey.
No, like my first Comic Con, I literally, for like the first 6 hours of standing there, I was like a deer in headlights, and I didn't know what to say to people. And then I thought, I need to have an elevator pitch. And at that time, I was selling 2 books, and I thought, right, okay, so I need to condense it. And then after I kind of nailed the pitch, it took me about 20, 30 times of actually saying it to get it right. And then then once you get that, it's literally half the battle, because someone says, you know, what's it about? And you say, well, it's a steampunk murder mystery about a female detective from America in London trying to solve a Jekyll and Hyde case. There you go. And that's it. That's all you need to like do for your comics. Just try and condense it into 2 lines without using AI.
Right. So like magic words. Well, yes. So, magic words like I can name that tune in one. Anybody who knows, name that tune from back in the 70s. 7 words, in the teens, 15, 21, different number ranges for pitches. But you're saying generally just 2 sentences, make it nice and simple. Keep it simple.
Like you don't need to go into like the details of the story about, you know, the beats of what happens, because you want the reader to actually read it. You just want to get the person who's interested just a little bit interested in the book and the premise. You know, who is the main character? What are they doing? You know, and just take it from there. It's like, okay, it's a horror book. Okay, what is your protagonist doing? What are that? You know, what is their journey? Just try and keep it simple and just practice it. And when it comes second nature, you can just say it off your top of your head. It's great. You know, like unfortunately, I can do it for like all of my 15 books.
I've got to test you one more. Nazis versus
gangsters versus Nazis.
Gangsters versus Nazis. Gangsters versus monsters, as it was with issue 2, I think. Yeah?
It's the true story of a fictional. So I have to be careful the way I word it, because of things that have happened in the past. So it's a fictional telling of a true story about a potential Nazi invasion of the New York harbors during the Second World War.
Wow, he can actually do it, folks. We're that intimidated now. We're not going to testify. This guy is like the kung fu master of soundbites.
It's just something. Like whenever I write a comic now, like I kind of take my pitch into consideration, because I'm the one that has to sell it at Comic Cons, and I have to explain to people. You know, it's even if it's something like completely like bonkers or high level or, you know, cerebral, you kind of just have to. You kind of have to break it down for people to understand, and just try and get them interested. And then hopefully you've got some amazing art to share with your story. So with the art and the pitch, they sell.
And on that note, we're not going to go to 3 because we know we can. 15 years, and that's just the tip of the iceberg. We weren't joking when we said tip of the iceberg. We watched quite a few of his videos, and we just have to watch them in chunks, because there's that much stuff. You know what I mean? He certainly used the last 5 years of his life and all the years before, the decade before that, very impressively. As Genuine Comics says, impressive. We concur.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Nice one. What else does he say here? The title of the book itself is already intriguing. Well,
that's half the battle as well, because literally all of my titles, I usually start with the title and kind of create a premise. So I'll either have an idea of saying, I think, oh, that's cool, or I think of a good idea for a title, and then I'll write a comic around it.
I'll tell you what, that's the one thing we've picked up with you. You're actually not frightened to move on to another idea. Kind of mind the seam of that idea and see how far it goes. And it's
because comics take so long to create, and so I'm always working on like 4 or 5 books at the same time. So whenever I see someone at a Comic-Con and they come to my table, I may not have the next issue of the comic they bought last time, but I will have 2 new books at every Comic-Con. So if they like my writing, they'll hopefully take a chance on my other book. That's why I work on so many books at the same time. It's purely for that reason.
is it just to kind of galvanize that enthusiasm because it takes so much of it? You almost like need to go to a new idea or a new IP to actually re-energize sometimes. I know some people have a handful of IPs that they rotate around to kind of keep up enthusiasm. By the time they come back to the original idea, they kind of like refreshed. Or is it in your case, nah, it's just a cool idea I like, I want to see where it goes?
I'm a really selfish writer. I just write the stories that I want to.
Really selfish.
I
You
want to
don't
tell.
believe it. I don't
Yeah, I
believe
know.
that.
It's so, and again, because they take so long to create, because obviously the artists I work with are amazing. They're working on other things as well at the same time. They, it can take 6 months to a year to do a book. It just I'm always writing. So sometimes I'll have like 2 or 3 issues of a book written, and or obviously I'll jump onto another book. I never get writer's block because I've always got something else to write. If I'm stuck on something or if I'm not enjoying something, I'll come back to say. So it's not about being refreshed. It's more about keeping my, it's going to sound really pretentious, keeping my tools sharp by constantly writing. And normally what happens if I know that I've got a deadline to get a script to a writer, I can just jump on a book because I know what needs to be done because I've already plotted it. So it's literally just the case of sitting there and actually writing it, which it's the writing. Sounds so cheesy. Like the writing is the easy part. Like it really is. Like if you know your story and you know your plot, like you can plonk me anywhere and I will write. My first comics were written in a food court in Stratford. Like I'd literally, before I'd go to work, I'd get a pen and pad out and I would literally sit there and I'd write comics before I went into work. So like
that J.K. Rowland idea of being in a cafe when you're starting out and just like scribbling some notes while in a cup of java or whatever,
I did not know that, but that sounds very similar. But I used to sit in an empty food court with a generic franchise coffee and literally just sit there for an hour before work and just write a couple of pages and just chipped away at my first scripts. And then obviously when I now work from home, so I get to like sit in my office and do stuff that when I can. At that point, I was in like a 1-bedroom flat, so I had no office. So, but now I had the luxury of having an office, so I can sit and lock myself away as often as I can and just write the comics I want to write.
But back then, your office was wherever you could lay your hat. That was your office home.
Yeah, it still is. It still is. Like whenever I have to go and like travel for work and stuff like that, I'll write at airports. I'll write. I've even written at Comic-Cons. Like not ones that I was tabling at, but I had a couple of portfolio reviews of one in Birmingham a few years ago, and literally I took my laptop and I went around the con, said hello to my friends, and I had to wait for my review, and I had like 2 hours to kill. So I just literally sat there outside the office, and I was writing comics. It's time. It's people who say I don't have enough time, and it's when you're awake, just make the most of the time you have, because that you'd be surprised how much you can get done in a day.
Sage advice. Another question. Is there a particular genre you lean into, Matt? I think we kind of did a text on X about that. We were wondering kind of like which one is the one that you really got into, but
it's hard. I mean, because normally my comics kind of tend to blend genres a little bit. So if you look at I Took a Hammer to Hell, because that originally started life as a Ghost Rider story.
really?
So, yeah, because I had this idea of Johnny Blaze going into hell to kill the devil, but treating it like a Dante's Inferno, where he goes into hell and he's killing all the villains that are in hell to get to to Mephisto. But I knew like Marvel, bless them, probably would never hire me, and I can't wait around to for them to find me to write it. So I just turned it into my own comic, with my own twist. Found an amazing collaborator and just turned into an independent comic. So it's like, it was meant to be a superhero book, but now it's kind of like a revenge-matic horror. So it kind of blends genres. I took out and obviously like gangsters versus Nazis without spoiling the twist. It's not what you think it's going to be by the time you read the end of the first issue, but it sets up like it's like a gangster comic and a World War comic, but it's kind of not. And then you look at other ones that I've done. They tend to pull from different directions. Is probably the best way to put it.
It's very interesting. It sounds like well, we'll come to what Tim's asking in the chat in a minute. Multiple projects to jump between, so the creative energy keeps flowing. Well, that can certainly help, but it just seems like Matt's a natural organic writer. to kind of sharp. I think it's all about sharpening his battle writing prowess. You know what I mean? That's that's the vibe we're getting. Tim says, "What up?" And we say,
Tim.
Hello, Tim, and Dave says, Tim, Dave Brinks, and so Tim says here. So there's not one particular genre you stick to, then, Matt?
No, not particularly. Just because it's just whatever inspires me. Like I've written a western called Voodoo Cowboy, and I wrote it out of spite because one of my friends dared me to write a western. He said, like, Matt, you write everything. I dare you to write a western. And it's going to sound really weird, but I usually get a lot of my ideas when I'm in the shower because, when you're showering, you kind of go through your process, so you don't actually think. So my mind kind of wanders. And I was like, I need to write a western just to annoy James. Like, I need to write a western. And then I thought, western, cowboys. And for some reason, the word voodoo popped into my head, and then I wrote Voodoo Cowboy, literally based on that. And then the story kind of flowed from it. So it's just whatever inspires me. Like I saw a poster for an old people's home at the station on my way to work last week, and it's inspired me to write a comic. So it's literally like I literally will try and pull inspiration from anywhere, and a lot of the time it's
ideas, man. Then
I've got more ideas than I can shake a stick at. Like it's really weird. Like I'm writing a Star Trek-esque horror comic at the moment as well, like a graphic novel. I'm writing a big 100-page graphic novel that I'm gonna tackle. I'm also started writing a sequel to Jaws that no one will ever read because it's my favorite film. I've got an idea for a sequel that I think would really, really work, and I'm just writing it because I want to write it. So it's just ideas. Just I have to get them out of my head.
Your favorite movie, then? A love letter to your favorite movie. That sounds very poetical. I like that. That's going to be.
It's more about getting the stories out of my head before my head explodes.
Oh, that's a good soundbite. Get the stories out of my head before my head explodes. I tell
Pretty
you what,
much. Like scanners.
That's almost This Is Your Life kind of moment. Anybody watched the This Is Your Life in the 70s with that famous red book? No, it's just you, Azrael. Sometimes doesn't your 29 feel slightly old at times, Azrael? Well, only the grey bits on our beard. Anyway, moving swiftly on. Oh, we've got Tank in the morning. We've got Tank in the
Tank Ferret. What a great name!
Tank Ferret, great name. He goes, "Hey Tim." We go, "Hey Matt." We go, "Hey Tank." It's and hey Dave. I don't know what time it is there in the States. You know what I mean? That we're there, aren't they behind us? I can never.
I think it's about. I can tell you because I deal with companies all over the world. So I think New York. I think their clock's just gone forward. So I think they're 5 hours behind on Eastern, and West Coast. They're usually between 8 and 9 hours, depending on what time of the year it is. So yeah, so New York's 4 hours. LA 7 hours now because their clock went forward last week.
I see. So it's me. You deal with stuff all over the world, customers all over the world. Then for your latest campaign, obviously 15 years worth of comics. That's 15 years worth of customers, and we should imagine because your ideas are so varied, you have quite a cosmopolitan audience, quite a varied audience from all over the world.
Yeah, I mean it's very nice. I love meeting people at the shows, which is great. Every now and then, I will get an email out of the blue from someone to say really enjoyed something. That's that's really, really wonderful to hear. Especially I'm not that kind of person that will name drop people, but I had an email from one of my favorite comic writers from the 90s email me out of the blue about a year ago and said he read it and read one of my books. It was actually Hammer to Hell 1, and he was like, "This is fantastic, Matt. I think this is wonderful." And I was like, "Oh, are you that person?" And he was like, "Oh yeah." I was like, "Oh, okay." So
that's all cool. I know we're trying to act cool now, but it's failing.
Yeah, no, but it was just like you grow up reading someone's comics, and then you out of nowhere they just email you and say they enjoyed your work. It's you kind of think, whoa, that's really lovely. And he even gave me a Paul quote that I did use at the time, but I don't use them now because I feel like
go on, let's have the Paul quote. Go on, Meister.
I can't remember it. It was a couple of years ago now. I can't remember the actual Paul quote, but yeah, no, it was it was very sweet of this writer to send it to me, and I was just like, yeah, thank you. That's really genuinely lovely. So yeah.
Did you feel a bit of validation that hang on a minute, I must be getting somewhere with my writing because obviously I've been doing this a while. I've got some indie comics. I've got fans starting to creep up from all around the world, and then you get somebody who's one of your favorite writers giving you that kind of compliment. How did that make you feel?
Not
Not that
really
you do
about
right,
validation.
but
I'm not really like I'd like to think that I don't have an ego with regards to like my writing, and I don't need anyone to like pat me on the back, say like good job.
no, no.
It could have been anyone that sent that email, and I'd be equally as chuffed. It was just like the fact that someone's enjoyed something and taken the time out of the day to write an email and say how much they enjoyed it. That's lovely. I do tend to get a few of those after Comic Cons with people that I haven't met for the first time, and they'll say, "Oh, I got home and I read them and I really liked it. I just wanted to tell you." And I think that's just lovely. Do you know what I mean? I think that's the highest compliment you can get from anyone, and I don't think it matters on their status or who they are and what they do. So, yeah, no, yeah, I'm not really like a validation award
No.
kind of person. Yeah.
Is it nice to have that kind of first time contact, that seminal bridge between you and new readers? Like you're picking up new readers for the first time. How does that make you feel? Just that excitement of got a new customer, even now.
Yeah, that's nice. But what's even better is like when you sell someone their first comic, especially at Comic Con, because you get people moaning about Comic Cons that like, oh, they're not Comic Cons anymore. People are there for Funkos and celebrities and that kind of thing. And I normally like at least one or two times at every show that I do, because I talk to everyone and I invite people over and I have a chat and stuff like that. And people buy my comics and I tend to do really well. And it's when they say this is the first comic I've ever bought. That's wonderful because hopefully I've hooked them. So
Hey, while we're on it, tell us about conventions and press in the flesh. How is that important? We've got a bit on the section later for advice to indie creators of all ages. But why are conventions so important? I know that is something that Tim Olson in the chat actually has talked about in terms of getting his message. I think it's been quite public about it on X in terms of all creators are looking at how do you reach new audiences? How do you do it? Is it conventions? Is it crowdfunding? Is it all those things, or whatever you can cope with or prefer?
I think it's all of the above. The reason why I like doing Kickstarter now, for example, I've only been doing Kickstarter for the last couple of years because like I did a Kickstarter about 10 years ago and it fell on its bum, and I thought, do you know what? I don't need you, Kickstarter. I'm gonna be Liam Neeson in the grey, and I'm gonna just do it myself. And I refused to do a Kickstarter, but then obviously times change, money gets tight, and I thought, do you know what? I kind of realized before it did that I'd a little bit of a following on like X or so Twitter, whatever you want to call it. And I thought, at any time someone could turn the switch off or people could just leave for obvious reasons before this happened. And it was one of the reasons why I started the YouTube channel as well. And one of the reasons why I started Kickstarter, because it's like, if you're building your effectively your business, your following on multiple pillars, if one of them gets chopped away, you've still got other ones there to retain you. But if you're, relying just on Twitter, for example, you're gonna crash because people leave, new social media things start. So for me, like Comic Cons is great because I get to meet people in person. I talk to people. I'm pretty good at remembering people's names. I do get it wrong sometimes, but I do have regular customers that come back, so they're always cool. That's great. Kickstarter's great because it's building another audience. Twitter's not so great anymore, but it's great just for connecting with people. Obviously, Instagram, Blue Box,
Yeah,
Fred. I try and keep my fingers in all of them, just so I'm not losing anything. But yeah, I remember one of my friends, he was starting his YouTube channel, and he, for the first time, he was saying it wasn't comic related, and he was like, "Matt, I've only got like 3 subscribers." And I mean, but you've got 3 subscribers. Like those people are genuinely enjoying your videos, so it doesn't really matter if you've got 3 people or 100 million. Like what you're doing, people are enjoying. So it's like if you just need to get satisfaction from the level, and that's why I just keep doing what I'm doing because I'm happy doing what I'm doing.
you may have noticed that we have shut the you know what up because we're listening to Indie Comics Gold Battle Hardened Experience from Matt the Governor Garvey here, and everything he's saying we're just listening and nodding. We like the fact that you're not building your comic empire, quote unquote, on sand. You're actually having, and you're not being tribal about it. It's like many legs to the spider. What if one shuts, you've always got another backup. a comic website, which is always the thing to have, not just be dependent on social media, but have your own base, which is yours. And you can use social media to actually drive, because it's free advertising in a sense, drive customers to your website where you'll have your merch, your comics, etc. for sale. That's always seems to us like the hub of the Matt Garvey indie comics empire from what we've seen of it. A lovely website, a very slick and affordable comics that are easy to buy, paper comics, digital. It's all there for you. And he's got a great presence on all the social medias. It's quite varied, and Party Susan, we like that. And it's very prudent advice and sage advice to actually tell people, don't just get tribal about think I only love Kickstarter, or I only love, I don't know, X, despite the fact that we've built our own presence on X to a reasonable amount for first timers. But what we like to think is we're going to move. We've started with YouTube, but we're going to be looking at other social medias to branch out at later. Just try it, see if what sticks, what works.
And it's not even about sticking. It's just like, if you've got content, put it out there, and like you might find an audience in some way that you didn't expect. And unfortunately, comics is a very creative industry, but people want to work in comics, but they don't realize it's the comics business. There is a business element to it, and making money is a dirty word, and it's really not, because if you don't make money, you can't afford to make more comics. So don't be afraid to sell yourself, not literally sell yourself, but like sell your work. That's why I have no qualms about tweeting about my Kickstarter campaign 5 times a day, 6 times a day, because people keep going, I didn't realize you had a campaign, because someone always misses it because of the algorithm. The people that like you and love you, like yourselves, thank you. Before I forget, thank you so much for all the support. You'll always see stuff and you'll like it and reshare it and that kind of thing. The people that like you and care for you and want to support you will always like that stuff and share it. The people that don't, like, they can mute me, they can block me. It makes no difference to me whatsoever, because they're the ones not helping me make the comics. It's the people that are sharing, the people that are liking, the people that are backing the book. So that's my tribe, my community. So so don't be afraid to, don't feel like you're annoying people. I would never like go into someone's DMs and go, I think you're tweeting a little bit too much. If anything, you'd be like, I don't think you're tweeting enough. It's like, and same for like your show and stuff like that. Don't be afraid to annoy people. Like, again, the people that like you will share. The people that like you care, and they will support. Again, the other people can fall by the wayside. I don't care. It's quality, not quantity.
Diamond Governor advice there. We like that. Just say hello to John's Longbox in the chat. He's imminent with Heroic Tales 2. We liked Heroic Tales 1. We backed that. And top exclusive, classified information. A certain somebody worked on a trailer, and John's Longbox has a new trailer for Heroic Tales 2, which you can put onto his forthcoming campaign. Enjoyed Heroic Tales 1. It's kind of like a patriarchal, well, he's called the patriarch, a patriarchal superhero. He's got grey in his beard, and he's got a bit of grey in his side temples. He's got all his hair though, which is something. And we just love the fact that he's a husband, a family man, and he's trying to balance being a family man and a superhero, which we like. And so John's Longbox, a master storyteller himself, really getting into it, which proves that even as a mature gentleman can get around to making a comic, you're never too old, which is a phrase
never too old,
which we saw in you.
No, it doesn't matter what age you start. I mean, I didn't write my first comic until my late 20s, and I'm 43 now, so and I still love it, and I will never stop until I can stop affording to do it. But if you've got a story to tell, just tell it.
I like that. Oh, John, you flattery, you. How's my trailer going forwards? Well, it's very kind of you to think of me, John. As far as we're concerned, as long as you like it, hopefully it will do the job for you and get you 1 or 2 more units of Heroic Tales 2 sold and build up some anticipation for you. Yeah, well, certainly. If you're happy, we're happy. That's all that counts. So yes, I think we need to do a bit of the old I took my hammer to hell love. So here we go. Matt, tell us about this cover. What's going off here?
So the whole the issue that's on Kickstarter is like the last issue of the first arc. So it starts with literally the main character Jake Wilson literally going into hell to kill the devil. Without spoiling it, like there's trials and tribulations and obstacles he needs to overcome during that. And literally in the fourth issue is the fight with the devil. Like it's on the cover, so I can't I'm not dropping any like spoilers. It is literally there is a fight between Jake and the devil to the death, and one will die.
One will die. It's well, I'll tell you what, folks. We've been with I Took a Hammer to Hell since issue 1, 2, 3, and for us to get to issue 4 on an indie comic is not common. It's actually quite rare. We went through issue 1, and we don't say anything about it. But we
can say it's been out for a while. I mean, if people follow me on Twitter, I always give it away for free anyway. So like you can read it as much as you want.
So there you go, folks. You can actually get I Took a Hammer to Hell issue number 1 for free, and it's quality. You've got writing and you've got art. Cool writing, cool art, cool idea. The Holy Trinity, ABC. It's right there, folks. And just look at those covers. Just look at them. It's just ratcheting up the intensity. You've got a hammer, you've got an angry looking guy, you've got a horde of zombies. Are you getting this yet, folks in the audience? I mean, you're talking, target audience. It's like boom, boosh, boosh. I mean, what chance did we have? And we count ourselves as quite discerning. Well, aren't we all? But we just, what's that Jerry Maguire line? You had me at hello. Well, this is that movie comic. This should be optioned off to a movie studio so he can be a millionaire one day. This is his IP. Well, they're all his IP, but this one we think. You're talking about Walking Dead? Look at this cover, man.
Yeah, no, Jarvis is an amazing artist, and I was very, very, very lucky to find him to work with me, and he's an amazing collaborator. And Fabi Marquez, who did the colors for the first 3 issues, she's done an amazing job. We've got a new colorist on issue 4 purely because Fabi is just too busy, so she's working for people like Marvel and stuff like that. So we found a suitable replacement, and Jim's crushing it. That's actually his colors on the
really is it
on the cover. So yeah, so
in the flavor of all the previous ones, which is quite nice. The continuity.
So yeah, bless him. It's not a nice thing.
Did you stipulate that, or did he?
I kind of had to, because if you think people are gonna read all the 4 issues together at once, and to answer John's question in the comments, hey John, on the Kickstarter there is a back issue tier to collect all 4 issues together. Jim, the new colorist, who's like, it's just like a super nice guy. I was like, look, I know you're a colorist. I know it's a horrible thing to do, but I need you to try and mimic Fabi's style as close as possible for the 4th issue. Issues 5, 6, and so forth, like we can change, because it's a new arc. We can go in a different direction. But this one issue, for me, it's all about the storytelling and the consistency of the story. The artist stays the same, the color stays the same, the letterer stays the same, which is me. The writer stays the same, hopefully, which is me. So yeah, I just wanted to have that clear consistency. So if eventually, when we do collect it together, like in a like a graphic novel type book, people read it in one go and they're not like, oh, that's changed suddenly, because it takes them away from the story. I want it, if people are noticing differences of what stuff like doesn't, if stuff stands out, it's it kind of takes you away from the story. And also in the private chat as well, I've just put a link to the PDF if you want to put it in the main chat, if people
let's have a little look at that.
Have the free digital version of issue 1.
All right, well I'll copy that across. Dear me, this is the first time I've done this. I'm so excited. Do you know what I mean? It's just like learning together. Yeah, anybody out there remember Play School? No, Azrael. It's just you.
I remember it too.
Did you remember? Did you say that underneath your breath?
Yeah, I remember it. No, not very well, but I remember it.
Yeah, but Matt Garvey, which window are you going through today? Is it the square window, the circle window, or the
jump through that one right there?
You will do by the time I finish with you. Just easy. Right, here we go. Comments. Let's see if I can copy this across. I'm going to put it in the chat. Multitasking here, folks. Oh, I've done it.
Talk amongst yourselves, guys. There you go.
Whoa, here we go.
There
Look
you
at that.
go.
So that is that a free access then to I Took a Hammer to Hell
Yeah,
#1?
that's the full first issue. It's obviously a digital version. People again, it goes back to the whole thing of having like a not so much a marketing strategy, but a strategy to try and get more readers. Is like, if you're on like the third or fourth issue of a comic, just give the first issue away for free. Because
Almost like a loss leader. You know what I mean? Like
yeah, I've already lost money. Not going to lose any more.
Right, chat. There you go, folks. Well, exclusive. Look, you've got a free comic just from the 5 Pillars of Storytelling. It's worth turning up to a chat for that, eh? And obviously for the Diamond Geezer, Matt's words of wisdom, we say. Pills of wisdom, sage advice, at the very least. So, I mean, crikey, I'm in shock at that. Crikey. I Took a Hammer to Hell #1, delivered through chat. This is Star Trek technology. I mean, in the 80s, I used to have to take a bicycle ride on our bicycle all the way to a Midlands area for those international people called the Sheffield Space Centre. And it was miles and miles in brown cords that chafed. That's all we're going to say, because this is a universal audience. And then we had to ride all the way back. And then one time we didn't put the padlock on our bicycle, and somebody just went beep away with it. And the guy behind the counter said, "Is that really a big pile of comics?" The person behind the account said, "Is that your racer out there?" I said, "Yes." And they said, "Well, somebody just wandered off with it." And I tell you what, we had to hand back. I said, "Oh, I can't afford all these comics." We had to hand back a pile of comics, and they gave us back the money. And we had a pound back then. And basically, we very heavy-shouldered had to go to the bus, the train. Was it the train station, or to catch back to the other area? And then we didn't have enough, so it was a 6-mile trip to get back home. The hardest thing wasn't the walk back there, or the fact that we'd achieved quite a lot getting there at that time. But we obviously taken the train, and then we couldn't take the bus back, so we had to walk 6 miles. The hardest thing is actually telling your mum what happened for our generation, because she worked so hard for that. I know. I tell you what, and 120 quid back then was a lot of money. And back then,
Yeah, it's a lot of money now.
It's a lot of money now. And that right and back passage where your parents get you your first stereo back then in the 80s, and your first bike, and your first, computer. It was the Commodore 64 for us. And to have it stolen through we took responsibility for it. It was so careless. But the first time we didn't put a lock on it, somebody just weeped away with it, and we had to put the comics back. Sorry, chat. It looks like we're just a frail human after all. Don't you?
No, you will never make that mistake again, though.
Well, that was the thing we thought. We thought we didn't get another one, and we certainly wouldn't make that mistake again. And obviously nowadays we actually keep our car locked up, and we've got checkeritis now. We check the car door 1, 2, 3 times, and we walk back to the car to check again that we put the lock on. And even when we're leaving the house, it's 3 checks on the handle. Yeah. Anyway, less about us. Let's move swiftly on. It says here, we've got a note of appreciation from Genuine Comics. These guys are great at doing superhero comics. Thank you very much.
My pleasure, guys.
Comic said that is great. Hey, Dave, tell you what, only the best special guest on this show. I tell you what, those 4 covers, when you put them together, we like the continuity of them. And just that latest one, the colouring is so consistent. You wouldn't know that you got a new colourist. The way you explain it is nice. Some colourists get that good. They get popular. It's hard to. The timings don't always agree between creators. That's why some creators. But we like the fact that you've kept the kind of core team together, mainly, yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. Again, just to reiterate what I said before, it's like I didn't want to break the consistency. That's it. So, like, if you're reading the comic, like, you should be reading it and enjoying it. Something shouldn't take you away from the story.
Very true. Variant cover. Now, we're big noir fans on the 5 Pillars of Storytelling on our X channel. We occasionally do post the odd picture of Humphrey Bogart and the 5 Pillars and the Maltese Falcon and stuff like that, Casablanca. We actually posted our favorite all-time noir movies, just because we have a movie Monday on our X space. And we try to be thematic so that every day something new is happening. And one thing we do like is noir. So tell us about this noir variant cover. What was the decision behind that?
It's all a money making scheme because some people will buy more than one copy. No, it's not really. No, I have an affection for seeing artists work as they draw it. Like DC, and Marvel like do like director's cut comics sometimes where they show you like the workings of the book, and they have like scripts and stuff like that. And DC, released some like Batman titles. I think they're actually called Batman Noir, where they'll like re-release like the Dark Knight Returns or Black Mirror, and they'll release it. Even Hush, I think I've got a trade of Hush Unwrapped where it's just like Jim Lee's pencils. And so whenever I do a comic, I always like to do like a black and white version, just so people can see like obviously the color version and the black and white version, so they can see like the artist's art and then the colorist art, because the colorist should elevate the art, shouldn't take away from the art. But I like to have both. And yeah, I just like it. And Jarvis, bless him, he's really sweet. And he was like, Matt, I love the fact that you do that, because it shows you respect my art. And it's like, yeah, absolutely. So why shouldn't I? So no, that's why I do the black and white versions for all my books.
Cool, very cool. Right then, tell us about Ooh Baby, Hot as Hell version.
Yeah, so that's from Richard
Very
Morgan.
different from what we've seen before from you. That this was.
Yeah, so that's from my buddy Richard A. Morgan. He does a book. I think he's got a Kickstarter at the moment, or you can get it on late release. He does a book called Blam and Glam.
All right, let me put you on a bigger screen while he's showing that.
Yeah, there you go. Like,
whoa! Look at that.
He's an amazing painter. I've met him a few times. Like, he comes to MCMs and stuff like that. Yeah, so he comes to MCMs. I've known him. He supports my books, and I really like his art. And I asked him to do a variant cover, and he very kindly said yes. And that's what he did for me. So yeah, it was it's brilliant. No, I'm very, very happy with it. And he's just like the nicest guy as well. So
I'll tell you what, that is certainly a hot as hell variant. Right, Matt, let's move on to the interior art. No spoilers, but just gently give us a few hints about what's happening here. We took some interior art from your campaign page just to let people in the chat kind of get a bit of flow of what the story is about visually.
Okay, so again, just trying to just lead you into the story, because at this point, the character Jake's gonna have his soul taken in a couple of days, and he's pondering what to do next. And if you'll notice in the bottom panel, like he's got all these tools on the wall, like a proper, like a work shed, and there's a big glaring space at the bottom of the last panel, like the hammer's gone. So he knows what he's doing before what happens. He knows this is what he's going to do, and he's going to go to hell to kill the devil. So it's very it's almost like psyching himself up. And then when you read the later issues, you see what leads to like this point. And even in this issue as well, like there's a flashback of like how and why Jake sells his soul to the devil. It's obviously not the most original idea about a guy selling his soul to the devil, but I like to try and think I've handled it in a very unique way, which is a bit different from other people. When you read it and you go, ooh, okay. And then by the end of issue 1, there's a really big twist, and people are like, why did you do that? How? And they're really, really shocked. And they're like, so I need to read the second one now, because you can't leave me on a cliffhanger, because all my books tend to end, like each issue tends to end on a cliffhanger, because I want you to come back for the next issue.
I tell you what, when somebody's decent at writing, when you've got little cute, subtle foreshadowing stuff like the hammer not being on the tool rack. I mean, it's little stuff like that. Which means if you don't catch it the first time, folks, because you're busy looking at the back of the character. Because when another thing is, they say in drama on stage, you should never have your back to the audience. But actually, I noticed just 1 or 2, and you're doing it here. Actually, we find it invites intrigue. I'm thinking, why has he got his back to us? What's he working on? We get questions from that. So that's another cute touch. We like that.
Well, there's I'm going to spoil it, but there's a comic I wrote. It was like a one-shot called Red Rocket Comet, and it was about a retired superhero. And literally on the actual cover spoils the twist, and it's only after you're reading it do you see the covering like, it was right there. It was right there the whole time. So yeah, no, I'm a bit slippery for that kind of thing.
You gotta tease your audience, haven't you? You gotta play with them
Well,
a little
it's
bit,
it's
you know?
it's hiding in plain sight, and I think that, and like, again, not to talk about like projects I've not even done yet, but like the Star Trek esque horror one that I'm writing, and I'm not even a Star Trek fan. Like I don't even like not that I hate Star Trek. It's just not my cup of tea. Like there's so many clues to what's happening, but you won't get them until it ends, and like that's when like, oh, they won't get that, and then they'll question that, and then when it all comes together, when they read it again, like, oh, right, I get it now. Like you kind of thread the needle the whole way through, and
Again,
I like screwing with my audience.
You like having a little play with them, yeah?
Mm.
Okay. Again, is this again just to keep yourself sharp because into your writing talent sharp and thinking if you try different things, then you make your overall writing ability stronger. Or again, is it part of the challenge?
I just think it just makes for a more interesting storytelling. Like we all love a twist in a film, and then
Yeah.
when you go back and you realize, oh, that person was a ghost the whole time, or this happened, or like, oh, he was Kaiser Soze. It's like and then you have to go watch it again, and that's
Yes.
what I kind of want. I want multiple readings of my comics. I want you to go, oh, I missed that. No, that, and then you go through and you're like, oh, yeah, you had me the whole way. So, not to show off the craft or anything like that. It's just I just think it makes for a more interesting story if I can lead you down a path and flip you without you knowing it, and you go and WTF moment basically. You're like, oh, to throw you out of nowhere, and then but it's all there laid
Yes.
out for you. So that's why.
Yeah, and we're pretty offbeat in terms of how we read in the comics because we know we're not getting another one next month, and we can't go to the Sheffield Space Centre plug. Apparently, those guys are still there. God bless them. And I used to pour through the back issues when everybody else was reading X-Men. We were doing DD, going through the back issues. Sorry,
Same here. 50p a comic, loved it. 50p a
oh,
comic, loved
that's
it. Pound a comic, oh
those
yeah.
were the days.
Used to go and get 10 comics for a fiver. It was great.
Oh man, it's the way I thought of it. It's just lust inducing. Right. Okay. We have got another interior. Tell us about this one, please.
Yeah, so it
Dave
leads on from the
Bastian looking, if you don't mind us saying, is this a potential deal with the devil? Has he sent his envoy to us?
pretty much. So yeah, so this leads on from the previous page where like Jake's ready, like, and one of the devil's minions comes and says, "You've made a deal. We'll be collecting your soul in 5 days." It's more like a precursor, like just get your affairs in order before we take you. And then following this, Jake's like, "No, I'll go now," and he's going now for a reason. And like the minions, like, "Oh, okay, well, this is very refreshing. Let's take you now." So Jake's going willingly because he is determined to kill the devil. Like there's no trying to barter out of it, try and find loopholes. It's like
No.
he's a man of his word. He sold his soul to save someone, and yeah, he's gonna. I mean, even though it wasn't fair, he's gonna go free of it. But if he's going there, he's gonna rip hell apart, basically.
I see. So he's not bothered about keeping the receipt, and he's not going to go back for a refund. He's going to take his own special refund weapon of choice, and we like the fact that he shows his in conviction, but that's a little bit of touch by actually using gaffer tape to spot weld that hammer to his, presumably if he's an artist of any kind, his non-drawing hand in our
Pretty
case.
much.
Well, that's what we're going to do. We're going to hell with you, Matt, for issue 4. And like I say, our right hand, no can do. But our left hand, no problem. We're going to get the gaffer tape. And we've got a rather meaty hammer downstairs, actually. It's got a rubber grip handle. When things start flowing, you don't want the grip, your fingerprints to slip with all that zombie hell juice flying around. Right, moving swiftly on. Tell us what's happening in. Oh, we can see the hammer, and we don't want to say anything because we don't give any spoilers away. But is that a picture of somebody's looking at?
So yeah. So there's 3 items on that table. There's 4 items. There's the tape. There's a hammer. There's a wedding ring, and there's a picture. The picture is of Jake's wife, and at this point, you don't know what happened to her. And yeah, so this is him contemplating, psyching himself up. It's that moment of Jeff Daniels climbing into the window in Speed and realize that there's a bomb there. If you haven't seen that film from 30 years ago, and he's like, crap, like it's that moment. He's like, this is that moment where he's like, yeah, we're going. Like, take me now. Like, this is all he's got in the world. Is probably the best way to do it, and he's got nothing. He's got nothing to lose. Is probably the best way to put it. And you should always fear someone that's got nothing to lose, because they tend to be a little bit wild, a little bit crazy, a little bit brutal, which is what Jake is.
Almost, actually, I must dare say, almost that a man without hope is a man without fear kind of vibe from Daredevil. I'm sure that wasn't intentional, but that, at the very least, a very happy accident.
Happy accident. It wasn't intentional.
Well, I'll tell you what, we just love that. That first panel there, a hammer, wedding ring, and a photograph of somebody that you must love very much. And that's a trinity of props and intrigue right there. That one there, that rather special panel, that sells it all, Matt. You know what I mean? The whole series. It's right there. It's right there.
It's a very strange comic to write, and it's really like the first issue is pretty much rage on a page. It's very brutal, very angry, but the subsequent issues kind of will hopefully take the readers on a whole wide range of emotions without spoiling it. There's stuff that happens, heartstrings, there's surprises, there's twists, there's shocking moments, there's heartbreaking moments. And that's what I kind of want from my writing. Is I want to take my readers on a journey with Jake. So that's what I try and do. Anyway, he says optimistically.
I'll tell you what, you are battle-hardened Jack Regan when it comes to sound bites. Anybody who's not watched The Sweeney, you really ought to, because Jack Regan was a character who'd give it you in one, and you seem to have captured somebody's imagination here. Rage on a page. Love that phrase. Genuine Comics.
Thank
you. Yeah. That's what we call, oh yeah. That's what we call, oh yeah. Oh, hang on a minute here. Looks like things are hotting up in the old garage workshop, Matt. We're sure it never gets like that in your office while you're working on I Took a Hammer to Hell.
No, not at all. But again, this just leads on from the previous page where Bale, the minion, is now saying, okay, if you want to go now, we'll go now. And he says to Jake, I'm afraid you can't take any foreign objects into hell. And I think you can kind of guess where this is going.
Yeah.
Otherwise it'd be like I tried to take a hammer to hell. And he failed on page 4.
But the try is well, it's Yoda, isn't it? It's do or do not. You're not going to get any thanks from Yoda for trying to take a hammer to hell. He's going to say, "Get that X-wing out the water. Get on with it. Take that hammer to hell and do what you've got to do, man."
Yeah, so it doesn't end well on the next page if you're going to share that.
I'll tell you what, the colours are winning somebody over here. Genuine Comics, those colours are killer, man.
Thank you very much. So that's Fabi Marquez. She's amazing.
So you've got that you had a female colorist for this page, yeah?
Yeah, Fabi is a woman, yes.
All right. And look, do you know what we like about indie comics is that there are more women that are getting involved with indie comics, or if I don't know, with the obviously Marvel, DC, they're doing their own thing these days. But what we like about indie comics, the accessibility for anybody. What you're saying in making comics your YouTube, which we'll talk about in a little while. What we like is that you're saying if I'm doing it, anybody can, and that's a nice motto because it suggests that with this Star Trek technology, what with streaming and StreamYard and with digital on-demand printing and crowdfunding and just turning up, it doesn't have to be a London convention or a Manchester convention. You can get one that's local to you if you're in Scotland or in the Midlands in the UK. You can go local and just test it out. Start off with just a few copies of a print run. You don't have to print 2,000, 1,000 up front these days with long press runs.
It's never been easier to make a comic, depending on what you want to do. Writing can be taught easily. Obviously, art takes a lot of time to learn, but it can be learned. Coloring as well can be taught. And, there's things like, Procreate on the iPad, which is very reasonably priced. I mean, I bought Clip Studio for my PC because I do some coloring sometimes. This week that was like 16 quid. It's on special this week, so it's just taking.
Was that issue
like,
4? Have you upgraded to issue 4? Sorry, version 4.
Version 4. Yeah, it's really weird because I've got 2 laptops and I've got it on. I had it previously on my other laptop, but I got it from my other laptop, if that makes sense. And it's version 4. So I haven't used it yet, but it's one of those things like if you want to learn a craft now, like with YouTube and stuff like that, you can learn anything you want.
So mobile, you've got Procreate on an iPad, something like that, or any pad.
Yep.
And then with Clip Studio, it's unlike Photoshop, it's actually specialist, tailor-made up from the ground up for comic artists.
Yeah, and that's if you want to letter or color or art. The tools are there, the tutorials are there. So if you do want to, if you have aspirations to make a story, just do it. The hardest part is just getting over that initial fear. And if I can do it, anyone can.
You're very modest. Tell you what, that is sage advice. We like that, battle-proven advice. That now is the time. Now is your time. Now is our time to create comics. Without all the barriers, perhaps only in our mind, and perhaps a fear factor, and having the courage to just give it a try. Just get out there.
Exactly.
Tell us about this page. Now, the reason why it does take a while to unfold this, but what we're again trying to do is show our audience what you're all about. Kind of some people, think that comics, they're not just all about the covers. Sometimes people want to see what the meat is on the inside. So we actually like to get an insight into what the creators are thinking about in terms of the flow of what this comic's all about. So what's going on this page?
So again, as I was saying before, like Jake's taken a hammer to hell. The minion saying you can't take foreign objects in, and this is a page that kind of shows Jake's defiance of like he's going there to kill the devil. Nothing's going to stop him. And this is where his revenge starts. Is probably the best way to put it.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, just yeah, that one is that looks like it's going to hurt in the morning, son. They say you should never shoot the messenger always gets shot, and that guy looks like he got shot with a hammer. Tell us about the characters then, without any spoilers, of course. Did you have a kind of vague idea of the characters?
So you've obviously got Jake, who's the main protagonist. He's a man in his late 40s, and
indeed,
again, he's got a mission to he's got nothing left to live for. So he's just gonna take his revenge. You've also got without spoiling it, an old friend appears of Jake's. That's all I could probably say. Then you've got Jake's wife, Alison. She's very in it for a very, very small part. And then obviously you've got the devil, and then there's a cast of characters in hell, like a Golgothan, which is a poo demon, if you know about that. And obviously you've got the devil himself, and you've got the little minion that you just saw getting his face smashed called Baal. There's it's not a huge cast, but there's enough to keep you interested in what happens. And it's really, without getting too pretentious, it's very much like the hero's journey. Like you're following Jake through different emotions, different revelations, and different obstacles that he needs to overcome to get to that final battle with the devil. And when he gets there, is it just is he doing the right thing? Is he doing the wrong thing?
Yeah,
who can tell?
I'll tell you. So you've got an intimate cast there, to me, and pretentious. We don't think so. We think you're a grounded grit Brit who has and that groundedness about your character appeals to an audience, whether we see you on YouTube or whether we see you on X. You're pretty consistent, down to earth, and that humility and modesty comes across, and that genuineness comes across, Matt.
You're very kind. You're very kind.
Just saying.
Flattery will get you everywhere with me.
Oh, well, we try to do a bit of that on this show, I tell you. Right. Will I took a hammer to hell is the question.
I think, I think you kind of hit on it a moment ago. Is like the whole idea of Jake is he's an everyman. It could be anyone. The reason he's in his predicament that he's in is literally because he gets put into a situation that's out of his control and he has to make a choice. So he does. That could be, a man, woman, anyone else that could be put in this situation. that's what I wanted to write in this character, like, you know, so people can project like what would they do. So yeah, if you like that, if you like, you know, stuff like Ghost Rider, you know, you'll like it. If you like, it's basically John Wick in hell. It's probably like another way to describe it. So if you like action, you like gore, you like shocks, you like twists, you know, it's yeah. Again, it will also pull on your heartstrings as well. So there's a little something in it for everyone. If you don't like it, absolutely fine. Do you know what I mean? I've got 10 other comics you can buy. But yeah, no, it's it's one of the ones I really enjoy writing because again, there's a lot of emotion that goes into it.
Yeah. We did indicate when we'd like to do a bit of a promoing of you from time to time because we're invested, because we're the back previous three, and we did wonder if there was a touch of catharsis in there. Just when we did a comparison, we saw like we put a little picture of you and then a little picture of your main man on the cover, and just the way you were drinking, just gently a pint of, was that stout or beer, by the way?
No, this is water. This is water.
Even in that little profile picture.
Oh, in the profile picture. Yeah, no, that was that's a pint of stout. Yeah, that was
Good man.
Yeah.
I tell you what, we like a pint of Guinness ourselves on a hot summer's day.
Unfortunately, that wasn't Guinness. Long story short, like one of my best friends lives in America now, and he came over for a visit to visit his family, and I met him in Essex, and we went came to the Brewdog, and it was like they are fizzy Guinness, and it's like bit bloating. It's not regular Guinness, but yeah, no,
it's not Dublin Guinness, is it?
No, I think they got weird names, but yeah, it was okay for 3 or 4 pints. It was a bit gassy.
Yeah, a bit gassy. That to take that kind of, when you have it like that, it doesn't quite, you know, hit the spot. Tell you what, we're going to try this. We crashed and burned last time we tried to do this. We had to kind of press StreamYard buttons a few times because it's their end, and then does it sync with your end? Let's give it a go. Let's show I Took a Hammer to Hell trailer with somebody who looks like Matt Garvey. To the stage.
I can't see or hear anything.
Me again. Stage. 1 second. Right. I know what we've got to do here. Before doing that, it says remove other media from the stage. Okay, we'll remove that one. And now we shall add this to the stage. Aha. Right then.
Oh, there we
now,
go.
Now we'll press play. It helps if you read it.
You're going to see my
Matt Garvey, the writer of I Took a Hammer to Hell. Thank you so much for clicking on the campaign. If this is the first time you've actually found us, do not worry. You can catch up on all the previous issues for this book down below. And I'm not going to spoil anything in this video. But if you have been here along the way, I know we left issue 3 on a massive cliffhanger. And I promise you the 4th issue will not disappoint. Just wanted to say thank you so much to everyone that has supported this book for the last 18 months or so. I think you're going to like how we're going to tie everything up in this issue, and it's going to lead on to bigger and better things. So thank you for clicking on the campaign, and hopefully you will consider supporting us so we can get this book out to you in early April. We are nearly done. We are just doing the colours now, and I'll be lettering it straight after. So hopefully as soon as that campaign finishes, as always, we're going to go off to print. And if you've backed any of my previous Kickstarters, you know I don't hang about when it comes to sending out rewards. So once again, thanks for stopping by. And if you've got any questions, let me know. Cheers. Bye.
Right, we'll remove that one and add the presentation of the stage. Crikey, now we'll learn to read. It must be the fact that we're in the presence of a great writer. It's a miracle. I can actually play trailers now using StreamYard. We'll tell you what do you say to
I'm
that?
impressed. Well, the choice of media that you've shown, but it's yeah.
Well, we couldn't resist. I thought, well, we're not sure if we've broken your cover there, but the only way you can do 15 years worth of comics and put out campaign after campaign on a relentless schedule, there's got to be 2 of you, Matt Garvey.
Unfortunately, not. It's very much me. But again, I'm very fortunate to have some wonderful collaborators that do all the heavy lifting. So it's a labor of love.
A labor of love, indeed. Now, next of the big 5 questions: why do you create indie comics? When did your journey with indie comics begin? Why do you create comics?
So again, going back to what I said before, I've just always loved comics. I had a story that I wanted to tell, and I just, I used to play my Xbox a lot, and then I was waiting for the new Call of Duty to come out, and it literally said that because it tells you how long you've been playing for, and in the space of a year, I'd played it for an entire month.
Wow.
And well, if you think, like, if you play a computer game, or your Xbox, or your whatever, for 2 hours a day, just 2 hours a day, every day, on average, that's a month every year gone. Like an actual 24-hour day full of, a month full of days gone. And I was just thinking, that's great, because I'm having fun talking to my friends and stuff like that, which I still talk to and stuff. But I just thought, you know what if I channeled that into something creative? And so I just started making comics from there.
That's very interesting, isn't it? Because to back up what you're saying, well, your track record is evidence, is proof of what you're saying. But another creator, Jason Brubaker, who did a Kickstarter comic called Remind, about this cat in a kind of robot battle suit. He said he couldn't find time as a family man to do it without distraction. But what he did, he got up before the family got up. So he got up, what was it, something like between 5 and 7. And what's that hours? It's the 2 hours you're talking about. 2 hours in a day, adds up over the year. You've got a month, so you can at least get one comic out and then go from there.
If you write a panel a day, that means you're writing a page a week. That means you're writing 2 issues a year. If you're writing a page a day, that means you're writing an issue a month. It's like it's one panel at a time, one page at a time, one comic at a time. Like, you chip away, as long as that's what I'm saying. Like, if you can write every day and you plot well, and you know what you're writing, so when you actually sit down to write, you know what you're doing. You're not there to procrastinate. You're not there to check your social media. You're there to write, so you can separate. If you go in with that mindset of, right, so I've got 45 minutes, I can write a page in that time, and like, I've got my plot there, so I know what I'm doing. I'll quickly read what I've written so far, and I get straight into it, and I can chip away. That's how you do it around. I have a family, I have a full-time job. I now go to the gym as well 4 times a week. So it's
good man. So you hit the gym as well 4 times a week. Good man. What are you doing?
Well, I'm trying.
Are you doing weights or cardio?
Just weights.
Just weights.
So 4 weight sessions a week, as well as everything else and stuff like that. So it can be done. It just, I know it sounds horrible. It comes down to sacrificing time watching Netflix, sacrificing time watching playing computer games, sacrificing times on social media. If you want it, you'll do it, and that's it. Like there's no excuse. I know people will say, "Well, I don't have the confidence. I don't have that," and that's fine. If you don't have the confidence, don't do it. But no one's going to do it for you. You have to do it.
Absolutely. I tell you, another question comes to mind by saying that, how do you balance all the kind of website, the YouTubing, writing the comic? Obviously, you've got family and gym. You obviously kind of have to find balance and sacrifice some things, like you say. So how do you find time to do all the other stuff, like the websites and the crowdfunding, as well as your writing?
Again, it's like you were saying about Jason. I'm up at 5:30. So I'm at the gym for 6 on the days I go. So I'm there for an hour and a half. That's done. I have lunchtime. At lunchtime, I'll pre-write, half a dozen tweets and schedule them to go out. I'm not there at 3 a.m. sending tweets. That's not me. I mean, it is me, but they're scheduled to go out. And then writing, I'll do it when I can. Again, if I know I've got an hour here, I'll go and do it. Again, I go to bed quite early, so I'm not up all night. So I've got to ask,
what time? We're night owls, but we don't want to be. What time do you go to bed, if you don't mind us asking? You don't have to answer that question.
Usually asleep by about 10, half 10.
Got you. So 10.
I'm up at 5, so I get 7 hours, and that's more than enough.
Okay, fair enough. And about social media, you actually, so that you're not kind of on there and it draining you of your very life essence, and doom scrolling, all that business, which we've certainly need to balance a bit more. How do you? Well, you've already alluded to it. How do you handle social media? Is it just scheduling it and being very laser focused on the message you want to give out with your books?
For the campaign, it's very much like I will before the campaign launches, I'll pre-program 30 to 60 tweets in there, and they'll go at different times of day to hit different time zones. If I'm near a milestone, obviously I'm always monitoring the campaign. So if I'm like, a couple of backers away from 100, that kind of thing, then I'll throw a tweet out there, or a post out there, or wherever it is, and stuff like that. But I try not to let it overtake my life, because it's really weird. Like, you don't get as much traction on social media as you think you do. I think, and I know, and I'm guilty of this as well. Like, I'll ask like professional creators that I know to send tweets and stuff like that, and they do, because they're lovely people. That doesn't really generate a lot either, because the algorithms are changing constantly, and they don't like links and stuff like that, so they don't get as much exposure as you would hope. So yeah, it's you just kind of have to do what you can, and prime that engine before you go live. So before you've even hit the go live button, have at least 100 followers to your campaign, just so you can hit the ground running and try and get to your, as long as you've got an attainable margin to hit, you can get to it in the first couple of days. Because if you've done that, it takes the pressure off. I mean, that's the reason why my targets are so low, is because I've already lost the money on making the comic. I've paid my collaborators to do it. My goal is to obviously recoup as much of that as I can, which I never do. I don't recoup the whole book. My goal is to try and get about 100 or 150 comics printed for myself to sell at the Comic-Cons. So what I'll do is I'll scrape more money back from selling those, because they haven't cost me anything.
Yeah.
So that's how I work. People say, "Oh, how'd you do so many?" It's like, well, Kickstarter to help subsidize some of the cost of the art. Doesn't cover all of it.
No.
Get a small print run done to help scrape some more back. So it means I lose less, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I never make anything.
I'll tell you what then. You've got all these IPs. Only one of them has to hit, and we'll put a $5 down right now. We're back to your current campaign. We couldn't resist. We actually went for a paper copy this time. We thought, hang on a minute, he's a Brit Grit. He's over here. The postage is insane these days. We almost had a heart attack when we went to the post office the other day, and we actually said, how much is for this stamp? It was something like 160, 170. We went, how much? All of a sudden, our Scottish ancestors were screaming out for justice.
Yeah, the postage is killer on Kickstarters, and the international supporters I've got are amazing, and that's why I tend to have a lot of not so much on this one, but on previous campaigns, because I'm running out of stock. They can pick up all my other books, so I'll get like a big order from people, so they'll not only back that book, they'll get a lot of the back catalogue to make the postage worth it for them. So it's there's ways around it, but yeah, the postage is just crazy at the moment.
It absolutely is. Speaking of, just one thing I've got to ask: are you convention-wise? Are you about once a month, or
no? I do two a year. I do NCM London twice a year. It's at the XL. It's in May. I literally got my table 2 days ago. The reason why I do that one is because it's a massive show. There's 120,000 people through the door. The comic section, people always moan that the comic section is too small. It's really not. It's 120,000 people through the door. If 10% of those people are there for comics, that's still a lot of people. 12,000 people. Do you know what I mean? That's crazy. I usually sell between 300 and 400 comics at a 3-day show there. The footfall's amazing. So I do that twice a year. The reason why I only do the London one is because it's 45 minutes from where I live. So no hotel costs. Travel is not a minimal. I'm there and back in a day. I don't stay over and stuff like that, so I do that. So yeah, it's being economical. Like Full Bubble's lovely. It's like I've done that. That's great, but that's more like a social con. Like where you're meeting people, you're meeting friends from like social media and stuff like that, and you go and get drunk and stuff like that. The numbers are not huge with regards to sales, because a lot of the people have already bought your books from like Kickstarter and other cons and stuff like that. So they're probably not going to buy the same book twice. So that's one to go and just enjoy.
Yeah, just one for you to actually enjoy and kick back with a few perhaps creative peers or friends that you've known over the years. Yeah,
exactly.
I'll tell you what, now that we're talking business, just one another interjection before we get into the actual stuff that we want to do a bit of is the selling. Do you find the physical then, building on that convention question, versus the actual online kind of digital space, which has contributed most to your footfall in terms of sales over the years?
Again, because I always have like 2 comics every show that I do at MCM, I get a lot of repeat business. And there you go on the right, so a lot of repeat business, so people come. That really grows. So that's really helped me. Again, I've only been doing the Kickstarter thing for like the last couple of years, but that's going well as well. So it's kind of it's because it's like a couple of times a year, it's kind of on par. But obviously, the comics I'm selling at the convention have probably not cost anything to print because they're from the campaigns. So I'll make more at the Comic Cons than I do on the campaigns.
I see. I'll tell you what. So actually pressing the flesh, meeting real people, creating real relationships between the creator and the customer with zero friction in between, and only staying at a convention for a day. So you haven't got the overnight costs. All that creates genuine relationships and genuine customers, repeat customers who will become loyal customers and will come back to you time and time again by the sounds of it. Yeah.
Yep.
Speaking of the business side of things, we like Matt's earlier point about you've got to realize with indie comics, it's nice drawing in an attic in a cave somewhere in Scotland. However, you have to balance the art with the commerce side of things. So it's commercial art, it's business art. You need to understand about the business, as somebody online would say. So how do we back I Took a Hammer to Hell? We tend to think of Mocha when we look at some of his campaigns, or a coffee, small, medium, or large. So is what we've got here is the Hot Fire Demon cover and that mule cover. Basically, you've got digital and paper there in the first tier.
Yeah, so you can pick up, obviously, if you've backed the previous campaigns, you can get issue 4. If you've never backed any of the books before and you've just found us, you can buy all 4 together. That's great. I also do, unfortunately, I've not done it on this one because I'm running low on stock. But there's a great digital reward tier where you can pay £10 and you can get my entire back catalogue. So you're talking all 4 issues of From Hammer to Hell. You're talking Big F Off Worms 1 and 2. Chances Are, The Cage, Gangsters vs Nazis 1 and 2, Voodoo Cowboy, Transfer 1 and 2, Red Rocket Comet, Glass Hood, issues 1 to 4 of Cordelia Swift. There's like 25 books for £10, which is crazy. So every time I do a campaign, I do an ultimate digital bundle where it just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and the price doesn't go up.
This is this one over here.
That's the one on the right. Yeah. So there's like every comic digitally, every variant cover they're all in there, and so it's I try and give as much value as I possibly can, especially for international people that don't want to pay the postage. They can go, do you know what? I'll take a punt and pay $10, and then I'll get 25 comics to read, and then if I do like them, then I can back the next one and pick them up. So
I'll tell you what, by the time we bought the paper copy with postage, we wish we'd just bought the digital bundle again. You know what I mean? Just because we've got the digital bundle from backing a few campaigns ago, and it is the most insane, the most gravitational, the best offer in indie comics. If you're not backing this, folks in the audience, or people from the future will be in the present, we recommend you hunt Matt Garvey down and beg him for this 25 digital issue bundle. It's got all the stuff from his hard-fought, battle-tested journey to the here and now. And it's got, you're going to have 4 issues of I Took a Hammer to Hell from 1 to 4 included in that. If there's a better bundle in indie comics now, we've never heard of it. As we gave out some recognition awards from the 5 Pillars of Storytelling, and this, I think we call it the 15 award, or no, the Outstanding Value Award. And we thought, what? Just as a recognition that obviously reflects who Matt is as a person. He's generous, you know what I mean, a kind family man. He's not in this to make a quick buck, you know what I mean. He's been at this a long time. He's very loyal to indie comics. You know, he's passionate about his writing and he wants to get his message out there. And to actually be able to get his message through time and space for all those years, and we think about it, all the days he turned up, all those years of every day he turned up, writing outside some food shop or something in London. You know what I mean? It's when you think of it like that, and he's giving it away for £10, folks, tell you what, we'd say back that one. It's got everything, you know what I mean?
The most value.
Yeah, the most value. Sorry, we're getting excited there. We know in Britain these days you're not allowed to get passionate with enthusiasm about anything, but we just had to. And that middle, we're just teasing. And that middle tier there, we've got Hammer to Hell 1, 2, 3, and 4. So if you just want to get a catch-up bundle regarding the story, yeah?
Yep, that's it. That's the whole first arc. So that's beginning, middle, and end of the first arc. So yeah, everything from the pages you shared before to the big showdown with the devil.
I'll tell you what. Tell us then a bit more about your creative team, Matt.
So yeah, you've got obviously me, who you've heard speak for 90 minutes now. You've also got an amazing artist called Jarvis Malili, who's an American chap who lives in Japan. He's an amazing artist, a really super nice guy. And you've got our new colorist Jim Clark, who is equally as lovely. I've been very fortunate to work with just nice people, and you know that they take my guides. If I ask for little tweaks and stuff, like, you know, I don't ask for many, but when I do, they are happy to oblige. If I say, could you just tweak that, or could we do that? You know, so it's they're a good team we've assembled.
Okay, I tell you what, the team speaks for itself when you see the book, Matt. I tell you what, you've always got to have a tip of the spear. You know what I mean? We've got some good people have teams in indie comics these days, but it's nice to have people around you, a reflection of what you're trying to create. And that's certainly the team you put together is certainly mouth-watering for this Star Trek idea, and also this Jaws one. It might be either Atacama to Hell or Jaws one. That might bite, that might catch a movie exec, and that might be your $1 million seller. We're convinced everybody has, like you say, a book in them, but also everybody's perhaps got a $1 million seller idea in them that they don't realize, and we say you're well on your way.
I'm just happy making comics.
God bless
but
you.
If I could get paid to do it, that would be wonderful too.
You are Diamond Geezer. We like your style, mate. We really do. Now, what advice, as we're over halfway through the show now, what advice would you give aspiring creators? We listen, learn, and share on this show. And as a resident expert, Matt, what would you say?
Just have a go. Like you can't lose what you don't put in the middle. You know, all you're going to lose is a bit of time. If you want to write, start small. You know, start with 4-page comics. Learn how to craft a story in 4 pages. And if you can master that, you can write a scene. If you can write a scene, you can write a comic. Because you think a comic's only 5 scenes put together. You could do that. If you're an artist, you know, just work on your anatomy and perspective. Just keep practicing, keep getting better. And the same as colorists as well, and letterers. You know, like you only get better through trying. You're not going to be Alan Moore straight out of the gate. You're not going to be Jim Lee straight out of the gate. Yeah, you might have some natural talent, which goes a long way, but you know, you need to put the time, effort into it. Nothing in this world is for easy, and the world owes you nothing. So don't go, oh, I've made my first comic, the world needs to find me. It doesn't work like that. You just need to keep plodding along, getting better, keep making stories, and hopefully, if you're one of the lucky few, you'll get discovered.
Got you. Right then, we like that serious message, but it's on the nose, and it's about if you want it, how badly do you want it? And from looking at your comics and your campaigns, you definitely want it, and for you, it's just almost the joie de vivre. It's just the sheer joy of doing it because you're passionate about writing. You know, you love comics and it comes across, you know. Okay, Matt, the Governor Garvey, what superhero would you be given the chance?
I don't know. They've all got a weakness, so like, why would you pick one? Why would you want to be one?
Kryptonite would be a bit dodgy, wouldn't it? Just like some kryptonite, Matt Garvey. What are you going to do now, eh?
Which superpower you'd like? That's an easier question, because like if you look at Daredevil, for example, like Daredevil, like is amazing. I love Daredevil. One, he's blind, you know, so you're giving yourself like you're losing your sight, which isn't fun. And then you've obviously got the Catholic guilt, which isn't fun. You know, you've got the turmoil he's been through the decades, which isn't fun. Like, so characters don't have, like, superheroes don't have a good time. So no one. I want to be me. I want the least amount of drama as possible in my life.
God bless you. Yes. Well, the one good thing, obviously, you're losing your sight with DD Hornhead, but I guess all your other senses would compensate. And there are probably good things and bad things about that. When somebody realizes you've got super heightened hearing, they just clang a few dustbin lids together and you've beaten Daredevil. How does that work?
Exactly. Yeah. No. No offense to Daredevil. I'd like to keep my sight. I like seeing stuff.
Well, moving swiftly on, nice being a superhero, but maybe not so nice when you've got legions of supervillains lining up to beat the you know what out of you, and probably your family and friends as well.
Exactly.
Right. Bonus questions. They say about pub quizzes, bonus round, bonus questions. Here we go then. Moving swiftly on. Right then, what got you into comics? Briefly for anybody who's joining the stream in the future, halfway through.
Yeah, so like I've always been obsessed with superheroes from a young age. You grow up watching reruns of like the Batman 66 show and stuff like that. Just, they've always been interesting to me. And then I saw a Daredevil comic in a sweet shop, went and bought it, and then I was hooked. And that was it. And that was like 30 odd years ago. So yeah, just media in general.
Right then. And what do you like about indie comics then? Building on that.
For me personally, I like to tell the stories that I want to tell. I'm not constrained by decades of continuity. I can just and I can do whatever I want. I can kill the main character, or I can end it whenever I want, end it abruptly. There's no shareholders. It's just me and my collaborators having fun making comics, and that's what it is. It's fun.
You can make the stories consequential because you're not answerable to shareholders or creation by committee.
Yeah, and it's just fun. I just enjoy working with amazing collaborators, coming up with fun stories.
Amen. Right then, what are your future plans for I Took a Hammer to Hell going forwards?
So number 5 is written. It's with Jarvis now. So we are officially writing the second arc, and then I do have plans for a third arc if people still continue to like it. It's it's one of those ones. Believe it or not, it can go for longer than the 4 issues. It doesn't stop, if that makes sense. So yeah.
Are you saying that this one's got legs?
Yeah, I'd like to think that there's more stories to tell. Maybe not how you think they're gonna turn out, but there's definitely other stories, other characters, and other places we can explore. It's probably the best way to do it without spoiling it.
I'll tell you what. The one thing we like, the romancers, that because obviously back issues we were talking about earlier at the Sheffield Space Centre, we like the idea romantically that a comic keeps going on. And what surprises this writer got for us? And you're a man of ideas, to me. We like the idea of one of your RPs being the ones that you treat as a sunflower, you can let it grow and nurture and keep almost run with it. Whereas I suppose you can Johnny Appleseed some of the others if you've got an idea you want to just try out and that, you know.
You can do whatever you want. You've got total freedom. So, I could finish, finish a book and then go back to it 5 years later and tell another story if I wanted to. It's that. Oh, favorite pizza.
Got to ask, Matt. We stole this from a football podcast. We're Forest fans, so we thought that sounds like a cool question to take.
Well, it's a bit large pepperoni pizza for lunch, so I'd say that.
So, what was your pizza? Sorry,
I had a large pepperoni pizza for lunch, so let's just say that.
All right, that's your answer. We like that. Right then, we're getting to near the end of the interview, Matt. I Took a Hammer to Hell. Where can they find out more info about you and your delicious range of IPs?
Yeah, you can find me on like various social medias. My handle's the same. It's just Matt Garvey 1981. Again, comics can be found at garveycomics.com. And I have a YouTube channel as well where I show people how to make comics. And obviously, if you put my name into Kickstarter, you'll find any of my live campaigns.
Absolutely. Lovely jubbly. And right, we know your time with your family on Sunday is very important. You spent 15 years making indie comics, Matt Garvey, and that's a long time. And we feel in return we've given you a pittance at an hour and a half.
No, you've given me well enough time, mate. Thank you so much for having me on it. It's been an absolute pleasure.
So we're saying thank you for being a special guest, Matt Garvey, and good luck with I Took a Hammer to Hell. Although judging by the door's been blown off your campaign, you will not need luck. You will make your own luck, which reflects the sage advice you've given to our audience and our future listeners. and we wish you the very best of for your future endeavors, and that hopefully one IP will just hit gold just because you've got a heart of gold in terms of how you did it. Maybe the Jaws one, maybe I Took a Hammer to Hell, which we love. I think we're in I Took a Hammer to Hell for the long haul. So we would like to say to our audience, please like, comment, and subscribe. Give Matt Garvey a back. You got to do it, man. £10 for 25 comics and 15 years of hard work. Just by the love of God, back that one. You know what I mean? And we'd like to say every sub counts. It creates a bigger community. Like, comment, subscribe on our YouTube so we can force magnitude a creator's message that appear on a show, and so we can help amplify your indie comic to future guests that might appear. And what we've got to do next is a graceful goodbye to that Matt, the Governor Garvey. Thank you very much again for your time. Again, we appreciate it. Lovely chat to you. How we got to that interview without laying on the floor with nerves, we don't know, but we managed to do it. And we're going to add to the stage our goodbye trailer. God bless you, Matt Garvey. Lovely bloke.
Cheers, buddy. Thank you.